The International Space Station, in Earth's low orbit, is one of the world's most complex man-made objects ever to be created. So complex, it needed the unification of 15 nations to construct, some of which were on the opposite side of the Cold War. It was this encounter of unification that led to the exchange of knowledge, which is now being used to conduct research necessary to send humans beyond the Moon in low Earth orbit. The first space station, Salyut 1, launched in 1971, was the work of the Soviet Union. Through the years of 1971 and 1991, the Soviet Union launched a total of 7 space stations in the Salyut series. It wasn't until 1973 that the US launched their first space station, called the Skylab. It remained in orbit for 6 years from 1973 to 1979. In its time, it received 3 crews in 1973 and 1974. It was 1989 that a major event arose that would change the exploration of space for years to come. It was that year that the communist government lost its power in the Soviet Union, giving rise to Russia. Mir, the most successful Soviet space station, was launched in 1986. It was here that the US and Russia met in space for the first time in 1994 in correlation with the new Russian Constitution signed in 1993. It was here that Russia was able to draw research that would help the US, among many other nations, construct the International Space Station.
Mr. President, distinguished members of the Congress, honored guests and fellow citizens. Once again, in keeping with time-honored tradition, I have come to report to you on the State of the Union.
10 years before, on January 25th of 1984, President Ronald Reagan directed NASA to build an International Space Station. In his State of the Union address, Roscosmos, the Russian Federal Space Agency, launched the first segment of the station on November 20th of 1998 on board the Proton rocket Zarya. The first US component was launched on December 4th of the same year. The European Space Agency, also called ESA, joined in 2008. Japan's space agency, also called the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, shortened to JAXA, joined just months later. Currently, there are 15 nations involved in ISS. These nations are the US, Russia, Japan, Canada, and the 11 nations under the ESA: Belgium, Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. These nations have advanced in many fields due to the new perspective of the planet Earth and the unique environment around it, so far unachievable on Earth itself. Fields such as engineering, human health, and earth science have seen many contributions aboard the space station. Although this research has many uses, there is one that excites all remotely interested in space exploration. Humans have already stepped foot on the cratered surface of the Moon, but are now preparing for something far greater: the red planet, Mars. The space station is often seen as a gateway to sending manned missions beyond Earth's orbit. It has taught humans how to construct, research, and live in space. In fact, humans have had a non-stop presence in space for 15 years due to the space station. Astronauts and cosmonauts work nearly non-stop on ISS to conduct experiments and research for the world below them. Much of this work is necessary for humans to travel to Mars. One of the most important necessities of life, food, is not present on Mars nor space itself. In order to keep a steady food supply, it'd be highly helpful to have a garden in space to grow food. Luckily, NASA has equipped the space station with its own space garden in the Veggie Hardware Validation Test, also called VEG-01. This will be useful in long-duration space flights like that necessary to send humans to Mars. These long-duration space flights also call for uniquely designed living quarters. With such a low limit on space, a ship's design must be extremely efficient. Astronauts may perform poorly in space if their environment is not suitable for humans to live for extended periods of time. The assessment of International Space Station vehicle habitability has worked to find how much space is required to house astronauts for long periods of time while in space flight. Communication delay also poses another obstacle for getting to Mars. The Common Delay Assessment Investigation works with this problem. It has recorded the effects of communication delay with crews aboard ISS by having astronauts complete tasks while experiencing controlled communication delays. These results will be helpful in preparing crews sent on long-distance flights to Mars, where messages may take longer than 12.5 seconds to travel between both planets. Astronauts must also ensure the safety of their spacecraft. Without a way to send parts necessary to repair any broken fragments of the ship, astronauts could have to face death or retreat if their ship is not fully operational. However, the 3D printing and zero-G technology demonstration verified that 3D printers are fully functional in space. This is the first step necessary in order to establish an on-demand machine shop in space, which would give astronauts access to any part at any time that may need to be replaced. Due to the intense environment of space, astronauts on board the space station undergo many physical and psychological changes. The experiment journals helps to monitor and explore the changes in the astronauts' state of mind through reading and analyzing journals written by the crew members. These findings have helped scientists further understand the effects of spaceflight. From astronaut experiences, scientists have also learned that spaceflight causes changes in vision, balance, coordination, immunity to pathogens, and bone health. Through research on these matters, scientists have managed to more properly prepare humans to go into space. It is because of this research that NASA knows what kinds of food to have brought to the space station, how crew members must exercise, and how to care for astronauts who recently returned to Earth, all of which will be useful in sending humans to Mars. The International Space Station is truly an amazing work of engineering, which may never have been built if it weren't for the exchange of knowledge and experience between nations like the US and Russia, who were the first to construct their own space stations. The encounters they and the other 13 nations shared allowed for the efficient and successful construction of the space station that is still in orbit today. It is in this space station that astronauts have been able to conduct research and demonstrations that will one day, according to NASA, put a man on Mars.